we are correcting our homework from last night, which was page 279 and 280. So here is 279. So the first one we had was number 4. And what it said for 1 through 4 was fill in the boxes, meaning solve the problem. So for number 4, they put a box for every digit. You should have a digit in your quotient or your answer. So when we divide 2,567 by 21, we should end up with 122 with the remainder of 5. Give me a thumbs up if that's the answer you got. Thumbs up in the air if that's the answer you got. Okay. Awesome. Hands down. Are there questions on number 4? Are you looking at your answer and you're like, Miss E, I don't even know how I got what I got? Okay. So then we also had number 8. And so for these, it did say to estimate, then find the quotient. If you just found the quotient, I am okay with that. So if we divide 280 by 35, your answer should be 8. 8. That 10 is the estimate that they came up with. The 8 is the answer. So 280 divided by 35 should have gotten you an even 8, no remainder. Then we had number 14. This one was a little trickier. It was 5,578 divided by 68. So their estimate that they came up with was 80, but the actual answer was 82 with a remainder of 2, or 2 left over. How many of you got that answer or got close to 82 remainder 2 for your answer? Raise your hand. Yeah? Okay. Hands down, please. Are there questions on number 8 or 14? Okay. Can I go on to the next page?
Yes.
Okay. So then we have number 17 and 20. So number 17 said, a farmer has 4,700 carrots to put in bunches of 15 carrots. He plans to sell the carrots for $5 per bunch at his farm stand. About how many bunches will the farmer make? What does the word about tell us to do? Estimate. And when we estimate, we have to what?
Yes.
It starts with an R.
Round.
We have to round. So you guys, if you did that entire problem for 17, you did way more work than you needed to. It said, about how many bunches will the farmer make? That tells us we need to estimate by rounding the numbers. So, waiting for voices, you guys. So, 4,700, we could have rounded up to 5,000. 15, we could have rounded up to 20. So you could have, instead of having to do 4,700 divided by 15, you should have done something more like 5,000 divided by 20. What is 5,000 divided by 20? Does anyone know? 200. What is 5,000 divided by 20? 250. Yeah. 250. And then you would have taken the 250 and multiplied that by 5. Yep. No, you didn't need to do the 250 times 5. So you could have said about 250 bunches, or you could have said about 300 bunches, anywhere around there. So I'd say anywhere from 250 to 350 would be a good estimate. What? Nice. Yep. All right. So when you see the phrase about how many, that tells you should be estimating by rounding your numbers. Don't use the actual numbers they give you. You round them and estimate. All right, then we have number 20. And number 20 asked, how can estimating the quotient, or the answer to our division problem, hey Frankie, hold on to your pencils, please. Thank you. How can that help you check that your answer to a division problem is reasonable? So we all have different explanations, but my book said if the answer is close to the estimate, then it is reasonable. You could have said an estimate will tell you around what the actual answer should be. Did anyone else have another explanation they'd like to share with the class? Layla. Yeah, to establish a starting point for solving the problem, knowing kind of where you should be starting. What else? Anyone else like to share their explanation for number 20? Okay. Do you all agree that estimating can be a useful tool? Yeah? Okay. I would like you to show me on your hand 1 through 5. How did you feel about this homework assignment? Show me 1 through 5 and be honest with me, because this is all practice. If you're at a 1, show me a 1. If you're at a 5, show me a 5. How did you feel about this homework assignment, 1 through 5? Okay. All right. Go ahead, put your hands down. I would like you in your math notebook, open up to the next clean page, and that could be the back of a page, and get ready to put today's title and date at the top. All right, so today our title is 5.8. Divide by 2-digit divisors. You might be thinking, Missy, this is what we did yesterday. Yes. 5.8 is like an extension or like a part 2 for 5.7. So divide by 2-digit divisors, and then you are going to put today's dates at the top, 9/30/2020. So 5.8 divide by 2-digit divisors, 9/30/2020. And put a thumbs up on your desk and you are ready to move on to the next part of our notes. So I make usually our note pages ahead of time. I'll do like a week at a time, and we had to push one of the lessons, and so all the dates had to be changed. You guys, should we be talking right now? No, we should not be. All right, so 5.8 divide by 2-digit divisors. So guys, if you remember yesterday, we had some vocab, then we practiced with a word problem, and then we practiced with just number problems, right? Today, we don't have vocab. We're going to practice with some number problems first, then one word problem, and then we will be able to look at our homework. Sound like a pretty decent plan? Okay. All right, so practice. We're going right into practice today. Yes, this put on your pencil, please. Thank you. Okay, so practice. We're going to get the problems written down first, and then I'll give you time to solve. Capiche? All right, thank you. Okay, so these are the 3 just number problems that we're going to be doing. Let's scoop that up for you. There you go. And you'll notice I left, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 spaces before the next thing we'll be writing. So number 1 is 1,050 divided by 30. Number 2 is 750 divided by 60. And number 3 is 1,450 divided by 13. You're right, each of them end with 50. Yep. No, I did not do that on purpose. All right, so once you have these 3 written down, you can go ahead and get started right away. When you are done, you can quietly read work on something else, or just sit back and wait, and that's how I will know we are ready to move on. Capiche? All right, go ahead and solve these three problems, please. Okay, so then one word problem, and then we're done with our notes for today. Yes. Okay, so our first one. Yes, if you were reading a book or anything, please put that aside. Get ready to follow along with me. So, for number one, we had 30 as our divisor, 1,050 as our dividend. So we'd ask, can 30 go into 1 fifth grade? No. Can 30 go into 10? No. Can 30 go into 105?
Yes.
Show me on your hands, how many times does 30 go into 105? It goes in 3 times. So we put a 3 up top. 30 times 3 is 90. So we would subtract the 90. So 5 minus 0 is 5. And then this 10 minus the 9 is 1. Or you could have borrowed from the 1, made that a 0, and then turned this 0 into a 10. That would have worked too. So we have 15. Then I bring down my 0. Yes. Can't forget to bring down the 0. How many times does 30 go into 150? Show me on your hands. 30 goes into 150. How many times? 5 times. Nice. So we put the 5 up top. And 30 times 5 is 150. So we would subtract 150. No remainder. So our answer would be 35. How did we do on number 1? Show me 1 through 5. How did you do on number 1? Awesome. Okay. Awesome. Go put your hands down. Okay, number 2. Number 2 is a little trickier. And I know some people, when you got your answer, you're like, wait a minute. And we'll see if you get what I got. Okay, so 60 is our divisor. It's the number doing the dividing. 750 is the dividend. That's the number we're splitting up. 60. Can it go into 7? No. Can 60 go into 75?
Yes.
Show me how many times. How many times does 60 go into 75? Once. Yes. So we put our 1 up above the 5. 60 times 1 is 60. So we would just subtract 60. 5 minus 0 is 5. 7 minus 6 is 1. Then we bring down the 0. How many times, show me on your hands, does 60 go into 150? 60 goes into 150 how many times? Twice. 2 times. Because 60 times 2 is 120. So we would subtract the 120. 0 minus 0 is 0. 5 minus 2 is 3. 30. Is this our remainder?
Yes.
Yes, because some of you were looking at this thinking, wait a minute. The remainder is going to be larger than my answer. That happens sometimes because if you look, guys, our divisor is 60. So if we're left with anything 59 and below, it's going to have that as a remainder, and it's going to be larger than 12. So our remainder is 30. So 12, remainder, 30. Show me, how did you feel about this one? How did you do on this one? Yeah. Kind of in the middle. Yeah, okay, good. Good. All right. Well, put your hands down. Let's look at our last one. If I scoot it this way, is it a little brighter? Yeah, it is. Okay. So then for number 3, 13 is our divisor. 1,450 is our dividend. So 13, can it go into 1?
No.
No. Can 13 go into 14?
Yes.
Yeah. How many times? Show me on your hand. How many times? Once. Yep. Nice job. So put a 1 above the 4. 13 times 1 is 13. So we're going to subtract the 13. 14 minus 13 gets us 1. We bring down our 5. Show me on your hands. How many times does 13 go into 15? How many times does 13 go into 15? Once. 1 time. So we're going to put a 1 above the 5. 13 times 1 is 13. so we would subtract 13. 15 minus 13 is 2. So then we bring down our 0. Now, how many times does 13 go into 20, 5th grade? Show me on your hand. How many times does 13 go into 20? It goes in 1 time. Nice. 13 times 1 is 13, so we would subtract our 13. 20 minus 13 gets us 7. Can 13 go into 7, you guys? No, so that is our remainder. Remainder 7. So our answer is 111, remainder 7. Show me, how did you do on this one? How did you do on this one? Awesome. Go put your hands down. Before we do the word problem, stay at your desk, but give yourself a little stretch break before we move on to our word problem. Stay at your desk, but give yourself a stretch break. Okay, I want to make sure I was recording. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, we ready for our word problem? All right. So, our word problem. And I want you to also put in this chart because that chart is something we need for the problem. So our word problem says, a 5th grade class, here I'll read it all at once and then I'll read it slowly. A 5th grade class raised money for charities. If the class divides the money equally between 30 charities, how much will each charity receive? And then our chart over here says funds raised or money raised. Then we have the month of September, October, and November, and then $435, $450, and $615. So the word problem, slowly. A 5th grade class raised money for charities. If the class divides the money equally between $30 charities, how much not yet, will each charity receive? And that with a question mark. All right, and then in our table, at the top of our table, it says funds raised. And so funds, that's the same as like money. That's why like if you have a fundraiser, you're raising funds. So funds raised. And then on our left rows, we have September, October, November. In September, they raised $435. October, they raised $450. In November, they raised $615. Frank, go ahead. I'm going to give everyone a moment to finish up getting that word problem and the charts written down. We're finishing up the chart part. I really appreciate that. Did you get the chart written down too? Pencil seems to make it brighter, so I'll leave the pencil there. All right. We ready to quick talk about this before we solve it? Okay. So. All right, so the problem itself says a fifth grade class raised money for charities. If the class divides the money equally between 30 charities, how much will each charity receive? Now, there's a couple steps to this one, isn't there, fifth grade? Yeah, to solving this one. What do you think the first step is going to be? Because I said they're dividing the money equally between all 30 charities. Well, what do we need to know first? What do we need to do first? Jack P., what do we need to do first? We need to add up all the money, right? We need to know what the total amount of money is that we have to divide up. Once we add up all the money, then what do we do? Allison. Yeah, then we take that answer and we divide it by 30, the 30 charities. I'd like you to go ahead and try solving this on your own. Hi, I'm sending Zoe up to you because she thinks she's getting a bad migraine. Really? She told me she gets them too, so, okay. Yeah, okay, okay. All right, well, thank you. Bye. What? A migraine is like a headache times like 1,000. So like, I think we talked about it. I get migraines too, so we don't want that. Yeah, it helps from with my wrist. Okay, so you guys, oh, what's your question? Not yet. I'm getting ready to still the test, and then we'll let move. So we won't get there yet. Yes. So, then I got to figure out the zero. Ready to rock. All right, you guys, we're going to take a look at this one. This one was a little, it wasn't necessarily tricky, but you may have gotten tripped up by a few things along the way. So let's go ahead and look at it. So we said they wanted to divide their money raised equally between 30 charities. So we first needed to figure out, okay, how much total money are we talking about here? So we would take the funds raised for September, October, November, and add them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So 435 plus 450 plus 615. 5 plus 5 is 10, so I'd carry the 1, bring down the 0. 5 plus 3 is 8, plus 1 is 9, plus 1 is 10, so I'd carry the 1, bring down the 0. 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 4 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So they raised $1,500 altogether. So now that we have the total amount raised, then we can take this total amount and divide it by the number of charities that they're splitting it between, which is 30. So then I would set up my division problem. So I would put the dividend, the 1,500, in the middle, or inside, because that's the number we're splitting up, and the divisor, 30, the number we're dividing by, on the outside. All right. Can 30 go into 1? No. Can 30 go into 15? No. Can 30 go into 150? Show me in your hands. How many times does 30 go into 150, 5th grade? It goes in 5 times. So we put the 5 above the 0, the first 0. It's a 5. 30 times 5 is 150. So we would subtract 150. So 0 minus 0 is 0. 5 minus 5 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. We bring down our 0. How many of you got to this point and you're like, well, I'm not quite sure what to do now. Okay, now, do you guys notice, and this is kind of your clue to know that you need to do this next step. Do you notice how there's now a space up here? Like there should be a number there, but there isn't? That means you need to ask how many times your divisor goes into 0. How many times does 30 go into 0, you guys? 0. So we need to put a 0 in that space. So 30 times 0 is 0. So then we would subtract 0 from 0 and get 0 as a remainder. So 50 is my answer. Did I do everything I needed to for my answer?
Yeah.
Did I? What am I missing, Will? The dollar sign. I'm missing my unit. $50. So 5th grade, how much money will each charity receive? $50. $50.
This messed up my entire equation. I put a 20 instead of a 30. Read carefully.
Yep. Ready to rock. You guys show me 1 through 5. How did you feel about that word problem? 1 through 5, how we feel? Okay. Okay. Yeah, it was meant to like trip you up a little bit. Once you saw how I added that 0 up top, did that make sense though? Yeah? Because I know some people that call me over, they go, Miss E, I got $5 for my answer, but that doesn't make sense. I love that you were saying that to me because it means you were thinking about your answer and thinking if it was reasonable. So that is a great skill that mathematicians use. So I came over and helped some people with that one. But if you ever get to that point where you're looking up at your quotient and there's a space on the end and you know you lined up the other number where it should be and there's a space and you have 0, then you ask, how many times does my divisor go into 0? And it gets you a 0. Yep, exactly. 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 All right, your homework for tonight. Please open up to page 285. 285. Open it up for me, please.
Oh, no.
Don't worry. Don't worry. Trust that Miss E is not going to give you a crazy amount of homework. Ready to rock? On page 285, these are the numbers you are circling. Number 1 and number 2. That is it. But that means I expect you will be reading these word problems very carefully. You will be taking the necessary time to make sure you aren't making silly mistakes, and you're going to have that thought of, is my answer reasonable? Like some of you had when you got 5, and you're like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Can we do that on these 2 problems? All right. Okay. So, you guys, this is what I think we should do. I think we're going to start language arts, but then we can have just full homework time later on. So that means you'll be able to work on math or language arts homework, okay? So we're going to start language arts. So set aside math, take out your EPBs to correct.